What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. A big thank you for coming back and joining me for season 4 of the FC Copenhagen rebuild. If you were with me for the last episode, you'd have seen that we won the Superliga and the Pokalen. We didn't get past the knockout phase of the Champions League, going out to Manchester City. But in today's episode, we're going to look to kick on as we are going to try and sign some players that will help us push forwards and stamp our authority in Europe. Here we go then, let's begin the roundup of Season 4. We have jumped forwards to the 7th of June 2026, so that means Season 4 is in the books. And as always with these rebuilds, we're going to kick off by showing you the transfers, everything that has happened at the club in Season 4, both in terms of the players leaving and the players arriving. Now, the transfer windows happen in 2 sections, so we're going to go through the June transfer section first, then we're going to go on and show you July and August, and attached to that will be the January transfer window too. So we had to be very active in the transfer window. Quite a few players left the club and we had some really good faces join the club. So let's start off on the right hand side then. If we drop down here, the first 4 players to leave the club. So a previous signing that we made, Stian Rode Gregerson, he has gone to Troyes. A player who really wasn't getting into the first team, kind of become a little bit disillusioned with life at the club, asked to leave, and he has gone back to France where we signed him from Bordeaux. He went to Troyes and we got £3.4 million for him, so quite a good deal in terms of the money we got back. The next one was Valdemir Lund Jensen. He has gone to Vale. I think, how much money did we get for him? We got £300,000 for him. So again, it was a player that wasn't going to get into our first team. He's a centre back that I don't think was really going to make the grade in terms of being an out-and-out centre-back within our team. So it made sense when the money came in. I suppose there is still room for a bit of development with him, but with the players that we are signing, it obviously just made sense to get the money as we could. The next one to leave was Victor Froholt. Now, you might have remembered at the end of the previous season, he was in the best 11 as a wide left player. He's another one, though, that I don't think we could really justify getting into the team, although this probably will come back to bite me because I know that he does develop well. He's only 20 years old. There is much more room for development. But I think, again, we're chasing Champions League glory in a short space of time. Whether we can wait for him to get to the full potential that we need from him is another thing, and the £700,000 could come in useful. Oliver Sorensen was another player who has gone out. He's out on loan, a player that we have previously bought in. So that is all the players that went out in June. The players that arrived at the club. Let's start off by showing you Emil Holm. He come from Bodo Glimt, Swedish, 26 years old, can play as a right back, can play as a centre back, can also play as a right midfielder, so a bit of versatility about him. He has pace of 16, acceleration of 17, tackling of 11. He has good distribution, can also, he's good with his heading, jumping reach of 15. There are all good stats that show that he's a really good fullback, is his best role and duty. But in terms of being able to be a versatile defender, we can play him inside or we can play him on the outside too. Moving on to the next one, Sigurd Haugen, 28 years old. Another one, as I said, now we are trying to look at more experienced players, maybe to come in and help the first team, as certainly the youth in the first team anyway. It does show up here that his stats are in the decline, which is probably not the best thing, but he did score a lot of goals previously for his previous club, so it was a risk worth taking just to see if he could come in and cut it at the club. Pace of 13, acceleration of 13, finishing of 13. He's a strong forward who plays at the top of the pitch, can also play as a wide player. So another one, it wasn't really worth, like, it's not a big risk, if that makes sense, because £3.2 million, it's either go one of 2 ways. We can sign him, put him in the first team and he goes and excels, or we could just play back up to Cornelius and it's not really that bad of a deal, even if we have to move him on further down the line. The next player is Thomas Christiansen. He's another one who comes in centre-back, 6'6", jumping reach of 19, heading of only 12, which is a little bit Peter Crouch-esque. Yeah, stamina of 13, a strength of 14. I think he's a good player who is going to be a rotation option. We can get him into the lineup for cup games and give some of our starters a rest. Another one who costs £2.9 million, so not a big outlay for a player who can become a better player. The next one is Jonas Wind. Now, this feels like a big transfer for the club. Obviously, a player who had already broken away from the Danish leagues, and now we have brought him back. It was good to see that we could entice this kind of player back. Plays as a striker, can also play off of either wing. He's quick, he's dynamic, he can score goals. I really think that the fans will enjoy having Jonas Wind at the club. And yeah, he's going to go in, he's going to play the majority of games. Obviously, whether that's as a winger or as a striker, I'm not too sure. We could just plug him in where we need him. Maybe if Cornelius needs a rest, or if Rooney Bargi's not playing well, we can always just slot him in. But I think that £6.5 million is an absolute steal for Jonas Wind. The next player we signed was Emil Kraft. Defender, wing-back right, Swedish, 31 years old. Again, another player with experience who can come in and play as a right winger. The only problem with him is he did want quite a lot of money in terms of his wages, 19,500. He wanted to be a regular starter. Not too sure he's going to get what he's looking for, but we're certainly going to try and play him in the games where we can, and then he's going to be a rotation option with Samsted. Yeah, it's just a signing with experience. He's played at a high level for Newcastle. Whether we can slot him in permanently, I don't know. But it's £4.1 million, and it feels like not a big risk at all. So moving forwards, you can see that Emil Kraft was the last player that we signed. But we did have quite a few players leave the club. So we had some youth teamers, Ricky Cornelius, Tamas Sucks. They went to Pax and Lyngby. We then let Lucas Lerega go to Bologna. We had Kevin Dix leave to go to Vitesse Arnhem. We also had Victor Fisher leave. Now, Victor Fisher was a bit of a strange one. Obviously, we brought him back to the club. An experienced player. Plays off of the wings. Could never stay fit. That's purely the reason that we moved him back on, because we brought him in to play games. He wasn't playing enough games, and it was just unfortunate that he couldn't stay fit, because he was really good when he played. He just didn't play enough. We had Amin Shaka go to AGF for £3,500. We had Jorgensen, Chambo, Simohak, Mirzan. They all left the club on free transfers. We had Valentin go to Vidorv on a loan. We had Ethan Amundsen Day go to Silkeborg for £14,500. Bjorn Jensen went out on loan. Kuma Babakar on a free transfer. Haraldsson went to Strong Godset. Let's just have a little look at Haraldsson. So 23 years old, attacking midfielder in the centre. Wasn't going to get game time, so we allowed him to move on. Victor Clayson has left the club. Obviously, bit of a sad day. Bit of a club legend. 34 years old though now. Wasn't going to get the game time that he wanted, so we allowed him to move on. He went to Freiburg. We had Akin Kumi Amu went to AIK for 180,000. And finally at the bottom, Galdor Gudmundsen ended up going to Djurgården for £500,000. So no players coming in January. We didn't really feel that we needed the reinforcements. We spent quite a bit of cash at the end of that June part of the transfer window. The big question is, as always, was the money that we spent well spent, and did the players that we let leave damage us in terms of players at the club? So the answer to the question was no, they didn't damage us as a club, and yes, the money was well spent. Somehow, some way, we have done it. We have won the Champions League. Absolutely could not believe it. Went all the way to penalties against Bayern Munich, and we won the Champions League. We also won the Superliga by the narrowest of margins, by 8 goals. We won the Superliga. Both us and Nordsjælland finishing on 74 points. Not too sure why we didn't perform as well in the league as we have done in previous seasons. But I suppose we did only get around 75, 76 points last season, and it was enough to win it by 3 points. This season, they've run us close. We have still managed to do that. And we have also won the Pokalen to get ourselves a treble. So fantastic season for season 4. If we go to the Pokalen and have a look at that then. So we beat AGF in the final 4-0 there to win that trophy. Champions League, let's have a breakdown of everything that happened along the way to the final. In terms of the league phase, so where did we finish? We finished in 18th place. We won we played 8 games, we won 4, we drew 1, We lost 3. We had a -1 goal difference and 13 points. Now, we finished 11 points behind Liverpool in that phase of the competition. But when it come to playing knockout football, we ended up drawing Benfica in the knockout playoff round. So we went through 6-4 on aggregate in that. We then went to the round of 16 where we drew against Liverpool. And we beat them 6-4 on aggregate, which was crazy. In the quarterfinals, we beat Atletico 4-1 on aggregate. In the semi-finals, we managed to face off against Chelsea. We beat them 4-1 on aggregate. And then in the final, as I said, we went all the way to penalties and beat Bayern Munich to lift the Champions League. When you look on the right-hand side of the screen and you see some of those teams, Real Madrid, Man City, Arsenal, and now FC Copenhagen. What an achievement. Absolutely was not expecting it to happen, and it probably will never happen ever again. But I can now say that I have won the Champions League with a Danish team. Absolutely fantastic. Looking at the Superliga then, this was where most of the drama was happening whilst the Champions League was going on. If we go into the stages and break that down in the preliminary phase, we can see we played 22 games. We won 17 of those. We drew 3. We did lose 2. Scored 67. Conceded 18. Had a goal difference of 49. And got 54 points. So at that phase there, we were 5 points clear of Nordsjælland. But when we go to the Championship group, we can see that that closed right up. Where we played 32. We won 23. Drew 5. Lost 4. Scored 84. Had 30 conceded. 54 goal difference and 74 points. So, by the narrowest of margins, we have managed to win the Superliga. If we go to the profile, we can see Jonas Wind coming in, making an immediate impact. 25 goals for him. In terms of his average rating, 7.65 for Jonas Wind, Mansberg with 7.44, Clayson with 7.41, and Rooney Bargy with 7.35, so absolutely dominating that. Bargy got 9 assists on the season, Jonas Wind, 9 Player of the Match awards, Matt Ryan with 14 clean sheets. Yellow cards, again, discipline not too bad in terms of this team. Distance covered, we had Emil Holm coming in. He had 14.28 kilometres per 90 minutes. Tackles per 90 minutes. Did we have anybody on the list there? No, we did not. And once again, we have Victor Christiansen, 5.08 dribbles per 90 minutes, so he's playing to an exceptional level. And as you can see, that is now 4 league titles on the bounce. And if we go back, we can once again see we have won the treble. We have won everything there was to win in Season 4. We have Superliga, Champions League, Pokal and treble. Let's move on then and have a little look at the finances as we move away from Season 4 and into Season 5. The board now have £113 million in the bank balance, and they've given us £32.6 million to spend on transfers. So as we are getting further in, that transfer budget is going up and up, and the balance, now we have won the Champions League, obviously is going to go up and up and up too. With that Champions League win, we now have a wage budget of £1.1 million. We're only spending £667,000. If there was ever a time to go out and try and lure the best Scandinavian talent that is out there, it's right now. We're going to go and have a go at that with that massive amount in terms of the wage budget. Transfer budget also is very appealing too. A quick look at the Club Vision tab shows that our job security is secure. Not too sure what we have to do to get very secure, but we'll take secure. In terms of the actionable objectives, work within the wage budget on course. Minimum 2-year contracts for first team players. They're not judging. Maximum 1-year contracts for players over the age of 33 now. So we have a few of those at the club. Certainly the likes of Braithwaite and Falk. They are now going to be players that are going to be restricted to 1-year contracts. In terms of the 5-year plan for next season, be competitive in the Champions League, win the Superliga, and then I hopefully get a contract renewal. In terms of the board feedback, we've got a B from the board. The board are pleased with the leadership of the team, and once again, last season's successes remain fresh in the memory and are taken into account. Now, it says sign players under the age of 23 for the first team. As we've just run through the list there, we are signing more and more experienced players. It's the only way we could have gone on that Champions League run and achieved what we did. So unfortunately, we're disappointing the board, but I'm pretty sure they'll be ecstatic that we won the Champions League, even if we didn't sign a few Scandinavian wonderkids along the way. They do not want us to sign players over the age of 30. At the moment, they're delighted with that. In terms of notable highlights, pleased with the 2-1 victory against Midtjylland. Delighted with the positive atmosphere in the changing room. Pleased with a 4-2 Champions League final penalty win over Bayern. And they're disappointed that we lost to AGF in the league. Win the Champions League, board's still disappointed with a league defeat. In terms of the supporters, we get a B there. Supporter culture now strive to make progress on and off the pitch. In terms of expectations, maintain the club's status as most reputable team in Denmark. On course, winning the Champions League is only going to elevate the club. Finish up with Brøndby and Midtjylland, and then win the Superliga. In terms of the highlights, pleased with the 2-1 victory against Midtjylland. Delighted with Vavro's recent performances. Delighted with Wynn's recent performances. Disappointed about a Championship group defeat against AGF. Disappointed with Emil Kraft's performances. Disappointed with Braithwaite's recent performances. So, Braithwaite now is coming to the end of his career somewhat. Don't know if he's going to be at the club much longer. But if we can keep him around, it'll probably be one of those to kind of mentor the younger players. Emil Kraft, okay, he was a disappointment across the season, I will have to concede. So the board probably do have some justification in putting that one in there. Finally then, as always, let's rattle through Season 4's Best 11 screen. Scouting report first. We can see that it's got Zetterstrom in goal, Christiansen, Rasmussen, Ekdal and Samsted at the back. Johansson, Mansverk in the middle, with Larsson wide left, Wind and Bargy now in the team, and then Hagen at the top of the pitch. Now, I'm not too sure how this has come about to be the team that it is. I certainly wouldn't put it this way. I would have had Cornelius at the top. I probably would have had Rasmussen on the left as he had a good season. Bargy on the right is sound. Wind is sound where he is. Johansson and Mansverk are great options in the middle. And then the back four is probably right. I think Matt Ryan deserves to be the number one goalkeeper because he probably played the better of the two across the season, but that's just subjective. Looking at the other version of the best 11 then, so the opinion of Stefan Madsen, he has gone with Zetterstrom, Christiansen, Rasmussen, Ekdal and Samsted. Sorensen in the middle with Mansverk, and then he's gone Brund Larsen, Wind, Bargy and Hagen at the top of the pitch. Looking at the purple players then, so we've still got Alvarsson there, Rosted, Anderson, Pedersen and Ottawa now, another young kid who is coming through. Johansson, who I think should probably be ahead of Sorensen. Mansverk with Jensen, his backup. Hillstrup coming in on the wide left. Brondumbo with Jonas Wind, learning from him. Jensen with Bargy, and then Rasmussen being picked as a forward, whereas I would have played him as a wide left player. So again, we have a team now that's obviously just going to win a Champions League, and we have an opportunity with £32 million in the bank to go that next step and try and maybe just finish this one off on an absolute high by getting the right players in, replacing a few of the players that I don't think are going to be at the club much longer, and we really, really have that opportunity to go into Season 5 and finish this one off on such a high. Right then, that is Season 4 in the books. If you're still here with me, you're still listening to me, firstly, a big thank you. Secondly, if you don't mind hitting that like and subscribe button, I really would appreciate it. It's been such a pleasure watching the channel grow across the past couple of months. All the support, whether it be a comment, a like, or hitting the subscribe button, has been fantastic to see. I cannot thank you all enough. Before you do go, don't forget to check out the rest of the channel. We have more Wonder Kids, we have tactics, we have Let's Plays, there are tips, hints, tutorials, a little bit of something for everybody on the channel. But for this one, I'm going to wrap it up there. Big thank you for watching. I'll see you on Season 5 very soon.